But the trend I'm starting to see now is people have kind of shifted away from that, oh my God, what's coming next, to now, here's where we're living, and we're a little discouraged because our regular routine is completely wrecked, So what I wanted to talk to everybody about today is to give you some help in terms of establishing a new routine, okay? Biggest problem with routines is that they tend to go along indefinitely until something major hits them. And then you go through anywhere from just being disorganized and feeling out of sorts to having no idea what you're going to do next. Okay, a lot of things are coming at you, but your organization and your feelings of control over the flow of your day are completely gone. So I want to talk to everybody today about how to get that back. And first, you have to understand what routines are. Routines are your daily flow. It's how you get from waking up in the morning to going to bed at night and everything you do in between. For the vast majority of us, these things are not well thought out. It's a consequence of what we've been doing for some period of time that's just comfortable. And it may be dysfunctional, it may be unproductive, but it's our way. So we stick with it. Now that it's gone, or it's been disrupted to the point where you can't really do it anymore, this is a great opportunity to kind of look back and say, if I had a whiteboard that was blank and I could put my new routine on there, what would it look like? What would I start doing now to make the best use of my time, my focus, my energy during this situation where everything's kind of turned upside down? So a lot of this is going to depend on your own personal situation. Is your business completely been shuttered by this coronavirus outbreak? Or are you working kind of, a moderate schedule because everybody's working remotely? Maybe a lot of your customers have shut down, so the flow of your business is kind of slowed. Maybe it's gotten even better, but it's just changed drastically. If you own a grocery store or you're working at a grocery store, things have changed a lot. If you're working in a restaurant or something, you've gone from people coming in to you going out. So there's a lot of different things can disrupt the normal routine and make people just feel out of sorts. One of the things I suggest to people to do is just really take stock of how your day's flowing, and most importantly, what you want to spend your time doing. Now, there's going to be some things that you're going to have to address because they're other people's needs. But I would guess that for a significant portion of business professionals, you probably got some time on your hands. There's probably things that you normally would have been involved in, dealing with employees, dealing with customers, just the daily ebb and flow that have either subsided greatly or gone away. So at this point, you've now got to say to yourself, what do I do for this foreseeable future? Because as much as we'd all like to say, gee, come May 1, this is all going to be over with, there's no evidence of that. There's no way to tell. All we can do is reset our expectations for how we're going to spend each and every day until we see signs that the whole coronavirus outbreak is now starting to level off and they feel like they've got control over helping people get beyond it. Until that shows up, you're going to have to come up with a routine that allows you to get through some very turbulent times. So think about what it is you want to do. One of the things I mentioned in our broadcast yesterday, which is where we talked about working from home and how to adapt to that. And most of that broadcast was kind of focused on employees, because employees were the ones that were going from working in the office to being at home and having all the other distractions around them. But there was a fair amount of discussion and tips that were devoted towards the person in charge, the manager, the owner, the person that now has to adapt their style to be able to deal with people that aren't in the office anymore. This is just chapter 2 of that. If you're now having to remake your schedule and your routine, you've really got to think purposely about what should I be doing? What should I be spending my time on? And how do I ensure that when the real important stuff shows up, I'm ready for it. I'm not just burned out over it. So taking a look at your routine should mean taking a look at the things that are most important for you to do. And if the activity of your business has subsided some, this is a great time to change how you look at your business and say, okay, I'm not embroiled in the day-to-day just running the business or being in the weeds of the business. I now have time to work on the business. I now have time to start thinking about where I'm taking this company. Now, in the middle of all this uncertainty, you're probably asking yourself, well, why would I engage in that? I don't know what's going to come. Well, that's a good point. But I think you've also got to realize that unless you have the firm belief that you're going to make it out of this and live another day to prosper after this is all over, you might as well just give up. And I don't know of anybody in the chamber or the people that I work with in the local community that have that kind of give up mindset. Most of them are a little pensive because they're not sure how long this is going to last. But the best time to prepare for recovery is now when you have the time. So my suggestion is devote parts of your day to working on your business. Now, what does that mean? Well, that could mean anywhere from looking at how your business is structured, what your organization looks like, who's got the various roles. Take a look at that. You know, you'd be amazed at how many times I'll ask a client, send me your org chart. Some of them don't even have one. Others have one that it was designed 10, 15 years ago and never looked at it. There's the wrong names are in the boxes. Pull an org chart out or create one that really reflects how your organization looks today, and really take a critical look at it and say, look, as we move forward, and countless knows there's going to be things about the business that will change. You know, you can't have a situation like this impact the entire country and everybody in it and not have some sustainable change take place after it's all over with. So take a look at how your organization is running and saying, what decisions am I going to have to make or changes in order to adapt to a new environment when this is all done? This is a great time to be thinking about that. Think about the people that are working for you and what they're doing, and could they do more, and what kind of training you might need to make them a really valuable contributor when you're back up and running on a normal basis. So that's one thing you can look at. The other thing you can look at is look at your marketing plan. Take a look at everything you're doing to put yourself out in the community, the visibility, the brand reputation that you want people to associate with your name. You know, your reviews, things like that. Take a look at all that stuff, spread it out. One of the things I tell people is take every piece of collateral marketing material you have and lay it out on a big table, and then just sit back and look at it and ask yourself, does this all look like it came from the same company? I would be willing to bet that 80, 90% of the time, you're going to look at it all and say, wow, no, this looks like it could have come from anybody. That's your first indication that you need to revisit your marketing strategy. Because everything you put out in your community, whether it's online or offline, something you hand people, something you mail people, it all has to track back to your central brand, your reputation, your identity, what you want people to know about you, what you do, why you do it. And this is a great time to go and look at your website. Is my website speaking the kind of content and message that I want to relay to the people I want to do business with? You know, websites get changed all the time, and a lot of times people scrap them and build new ones, or they update the ones they have. But that's just the look and feel, which is important. But the one thing a lot of the web people, we have some great ones here in Lake Forest that can help you with things like that. But the one thing they don't really do is they don't write your content. They can't come up with the words that adequately describe who you are and what you do. You have to provide that. This is a great time to sit down and think about, who am I as a business today? Why am I doing this? What do I want people to know about how I do what I do that would make them think, gee, that's the person I want to do business with. They're speaking my language. Marketing is really just a language. It's you connecting with people that you may not have met yet to let them know that you have the solution to the problem they're trying to figure out. But it's hard to get to that point unless you've really done a good assessment of the messaging you're putting out there. So it could be on your website. It could be on other social media pages that you've gotten on as a means of trying to spread the word. If you're a B2B business, you should be on LinkedIn. If you're not on LinkedIn, you need to get on LinkedIn. And you can be on LinkedIn with a professional profile, which usually has your picture and a biography about you and, you know, the places you've worked and the things you've done. But LinkedIn also offers a business page, which you can connect to your personal page and basically replicate just about everything that's on your website. A lot of people don't take advantage of that. And, you know, look, it takes a little work. I mean, you have to go in there and set it up and put all the content in. But doing that can really help. It can add another facet of how people can find you and sometimes find your business before they find you. But all of that will only work so well unless you've already put your messaging together in advance. One of the things I've learned from some of the partners I've worked with in marketing and online marketing and SEO and things like that is your content has to be consistent everywhere people find you. So if you do inventory of all the places you are on the web and you look at those individual places, when it usually will say the name, contact information, brief description, bio. They're all pretty standard. You have to look at all that and say, gee, is it all saying the same thing? Or is it saying variations of something different because over time I've added here and I've changed there and I've never really kept things consistent? During this time now, this is a great opportunity to build in a couple of hours each day to think about these things and do things for the benefit of working on and improving your business. So your marketing message is important, whether it's on LinkedIn. If you're B2C, you've almost got to be on Facebook and Instagram. If you're a lawyer, there's plenty of law firm websites out there, Avo, lawyer.com. There's a bunch of them. Some of them are free, some of them are paid, but they're all pretty good sites because when people are looking for lawyers, and unless they have a referral or somebody personally they know that handles that specific area of the legal practice, they're probably going to go on the internet and start searching. And you want to be found when they're in the mood to hire somebody. But when they get on that site, it's not going to just be you sitting there and nobody else. You're going to have people in front of you and behind you, and your message has to stand out. It's got to be clear, it's got to be compelling, and it has to speak to people in a way that resonates with them so they feel confident either pushing the button to make a connection or sending an email or doing whatever it is that website offers. When you're in this period now, these are the kind of times when you should be sitting and thinking about this kind of stuff. Because I guarantee you, the coronavirus epidemic will come to an end. Probably before it actually gets eradicated, we will all become comfortable and figure out how to do business in this kind of alternative universe we're all living in. But when that happens, and when you start to see business coming back, you're going to want to spend all your time focusing on serving that business to build your business, your company back up. You're not going to have the time to work on the elements that later on you're going to have to depend on so that your business thrives with the right kind of marketing channel or community you're trying to reach. So really take advantage of building in some of this working on your business time now while you're dealing with everything else. Now, routines are dependent upon two factors. If you really want a great productive day where you get a lot of good things done and you feel good about it at the end of the day and you're not completely wasted in the process, there's two things you have to inject in order to make that routine work ongoingly well for you. The first thing is rituals. And, rituals kind of has that kind of spooky feeling around it. But if you've ever played sports, if you've ever been in an entertainment environment, if you've ever done public speaking or anything where for a particular moment in time, you've got to bring your A game to the field. You've got to show up in front of that crowd and be confident and calm and ready to engage. Basically, you have to have the energy and everything has to be on and ready to go. It's very difficult for a lot of people to raise the level of their performance to that level, to really feel good and deliver a great result for the people you're working with without some type of ritual that you go through beforehand to pump you up. And rituals are nothing more than past experiences or things that you associate with your absolute best performances that you just bring back in an effort to bring your mental game up, because your physical performance is preceded by your mental game, how you think about what you're getting ready to do. I used to play sports in high school and college, track and field, football, did a lot of different things. And most all of those things required you turning on your best performance before you hit the field. Before you go out and do your event, you've got to be psyched and ready to go. Well, business is the exact same way. There's things all through the day or through the week where you just have to be up on it. An important phone call. It used to be when you were meeting face to face and having meetings and presenting your services in an effort to try to win a bid, that was the moment. For me, I do a lot of public speaking. And so every time I get in front of a crowd, whether it's 30 people or 100 people, I've got to be on. My game's got to be up because, those people are expecting to be either motivated or invigorated or somehow feel better about the time that they're listening to me than before they got there. So I've got to come with my A game. The way to do that is with rituals, with a simple series of things that will just give you that internal energy and confidence for you to go out and do your best. Now, what could that be? Well, some people, it's reading. It's reading certain passages that speak to them. If you're religious or spiritual, it could be reading parts of the Bible that really mean something to you. If you like music, it might be listening to a certain set of songs that you know just have a lot of really good memories from your past. One of the companies I was affiliated with before I started my own practice was really big on affirmations. And these things have incredibly powerful results. And it's simply listening to things, listening to the spoken word that helps you get your mind in that certain state where you know you can just go out and take on the world. So there's a lot of different things that you can do to kind of bring up your energy, bring up your focus, hit the ground running, and be more intentional with the things you do. So when should you do rituals? Well, if there's not a special event that you're looking to get into that you really need to be, playing at the A level on, start your morning that way. After you get through your basic routine, but before you're getting ready to jump into your day, doing a ritual of your choice is a great thing to start the day. It sets your mind, it gets your intention in the right spot. One of the things I was introduced to probably about 10 years ago, and I find it incredibly powerful, and you can find it on Google or on YouTube. Nike made a 6-minute video called The Grind. And it's very powerful, and it's got great music behind it. The content in it really speaks to me. In fact, it was so good that I actually stopped watching the video and just started listening to the audio part because I got a completely different charge out of listening to it. But look at it. It's called The Grind, and you might like it. You might like something else. But the point is, find that one vehicle to help you take up your mental acuity about what you're getting ready to do for the day. So that's what rituals are. Now, like anything, you have to use them sparingly, because if you use them all the time, then that becomes your routine and it ceases to have the effect that it needs to have. But if you find the right way to get yourself clear and energized and ready to go, and you do that on a repeated basis, you'll be amazed at how well that gets you up to that level of world-class performance. The other thing that you have to be thinking about is what I called rejuvenation. For people that run long and hard and work 12, 14 hours at a time, at some point you don't realize it, but your productivity actually starts to slide. You may not think that because you're embroiled in doing whatever you're doing, but your focus, your clarity, your ability to think clearly, it all starts going downhill because you spent too long at it. So the thing that I know that helps in keeping a routine for the day at a top level is knowing how to start it with the ritual, but it also is knowing how to break from it and rejuvenate. And all that means taking a purposeful break away from your business, away from your work, and doing something completely different. Get out of the office, get out of the house, walk around the neighborhood, take a 10-minute walk. You might want to put your earbuds in and listen to some music on the way, but all you're doing is kind of flushing out the excess from what you've been working on and getting your head clear and set. When you return back to your office or you return back to what you were doing, that clarity's back. You've usually reduced a little bit of the stress, the calm is back, and it allows you to jump into the next phase of your day like you started the morning. Sometimes I've even had people that like the affirmation way of starting their day, and they'll do one in the morning and they'll do one after lunch to get them through the afternoon and to whatever time they're going to stop for the day. So the reason I'm telling you all this is because now with your routine completely, thrown out the window, this is a great time to sit and just kind of rewrite your routine. How are you going to start the day? What things are you going to work on? Time block them, put them on your calendar, because when they're on their calendar, your chance of adhering to that is much greater. Take breaks. Most people need a break after about 2.5 or 3 hours. You may not think that because your usual track record is just blazed right through the day. But if you start taking mini breaks, what you find out is the remaining time that you're working on your business or in your job or whatever else is in front of you, you'll do a better job with it. You'll be more clear, you make better decisions. You won't spend time just kind of regurgitating stuff around in your head because you don't know the answer, you don't know where to go with it. It will really help you change that whole thing. So take the time to reset your daily clock. Build in more time to work on your business, because I guarantee this whole situation we're in is going to come to an end. It'll probably come to an end a little quicker than we realize. But long before a vaccine and the virus is in the history books. We're all going to figure out how to do business on a normal basis with a different environment. And you want to be ready when that time shows up to take on that business, to do things differently, to prosper again like you were prospering before all this hit us a week and a half ago. The best way to do that is to take countenance about how you're spending your day and your week, be more purposeful, honor your downtime by rejuvenating, make sure you connect with people, and make sure you spend time doing things that help your business foundation, not just being in the weeds, dealing with all the crap that was coming on a daily basis. Because a lot of that's probably gone because you don't have as many clients and all your employees aren't in the same building anymore. So that's the message for today. Think about how you can move forward in this time of uncertainty and take control over where you're going and what you're doing. And I guarantee you, it may not change the speed at which the virus goes away, but it will change the speed at which you can adapt and thrive until you can get back to your regular course of business.